What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, and I have another emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:21 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe and the Middle East. So, Poland's Deputy Defense Minister Paweł Zalewski confirmed today that Poland has officially requested the deployment of U.S. nuclear weapons in Poland by applying to participate in the nuclear sharing program. Okay, so Poland has now officially applied to the U.S. nuclear weapons sharing program for NATO. He said this on local TV. He said, "We are talking about a program called nuclear sharing. This is a NATO program, but the decision and full control over the use of nuclear weapons, which, for example, would be deployed in Poland, would be made by the Americans. Of course, this program operates in Europe. Belgium, Italy, and Germany participate in the program, and Poland has declared its readiness to participate in this program, and this statement of readiness has not been withdrawn." Wow. Okay, so Poland officially applying to the NATO nuclear sharing program. They have not withdrawn their stance on that. And I want to update you guys on this massive ATACMS strike on Crimea last night. So we're hearing initial reports that 3 military units of the Russian air defense forces were attacked in Crimea last night by Ukrainian ATACMS. We're hearing that a military unit was attacked in the village of Donskaya, Simferopol region, causing a fire to break out and wounding Russian troops. Also, there was a missile strike carried out on military facilities of the 31st Air Defense Division in the Black Sea and Saki regions. And in Chernomorsk, 4 Russian military personnel were wounded. And Russian mill blogger Rybar reports that Ukrainian forces have fired over 30 ATACMS at Russian targets in Crimea over the past 2 weeks. Last night alone, Ukrainian forces reportedly hit targets around Jankoy Air Base and Gvardeyskaya Air Base with 12 ATACMS. Okay, so 12 ATACMS last night. And I think this is just the beginning, guys. The Ukrainians are trying to take out the air defenses before they go after the Crimean bridge. That's what we're seeing here. Okay, they're trying to destroy all the air defenses in Crimea, so then when they launch the Storm Shadows or Taurus missiles or whatever at the Crimean bridge, those air defenses are going to be down. Okay, so they've already destroyed several S-400 systems, and I do believe Ukraine is going to do this. And why? Because what we're hearing now is that the delivery of these F-16s is not going to happen until the end of this year. So they were originally supposed to have the F-16s delivered to Ukraine in June, and now they're saying by the end of the year, and reports are coming out that Ukrainian pilots are having difficulty mastering these F-16s. So the training is the issue here. Okay, they want to make sure they fully train the Ukrainians and they understand everything before they transfer those F-16s. So keeping that in mind, and also keeping the shortage of Ukrainian manpower and Ukrainian artillery in mind, it makes a lot of sense for Ukraine to try to destroy the Crimean bridge now before Russia's big offensive, which is going to start at the end of May. And they've already been making gains in eastern Ukraine. The Russians have already seized several villages just in the last 10 days. They've advanced several miles. Okay, so the Russians are already making small gains, and they haven't even started their offensive yet. Okay, so Ukraine needs a win. They need to boost the morale of their people and their soldiers because the counteroffensive was a disaster, and now they're losing territory. And so they may have to resort to drastic measures like destroying the Crimean bridge to boost the morale and to kind of get back on track, so to speak. And we're also hearing that Ukraine's goals in Crimea, this is according to Russian mill bloggers, will be to destroy the Crimean Bridge, destroy the Balaclava thermal power plant. I guess that's like the main power plant in Crimea, destroy military airfields and air defenses, including radars and command posts in Crimea as well. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1 month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1 month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1 month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. So it's coming, guys. It could happen any day now. And when that happens, I will go live 24/7 if I have to, as long as necessary. And Latvia has urged its citizens to convert their basements into bomb shelters amid fears that the Baltics could be Vladimir Putin's next target. This is being reported by the UK Telegraph. Vilnius Kursis, the mayor of the capital of Latvia, Riga, said, "We call on everyone to ensure that your cellars and your basements can be used as shelters in the case of emergencies." Mr. Kursis said government buildings in the city would also have their underground spaces turned into shelters in a private communique to city officials. Okay, so the mayor of Riga sent a private communication to city officials that they're going to start turning government buildings into bomb shelters. Okay, this is huge news. The head of Riga's Civil Defense Commission has told local broadcasters that 100 shelters will be prepared each month until the end of the year. Gintz Ryanson told TV24 the basements of public buildings, schools, retirement homes, hospitals, and town halls will be inspected by authorities who will prepare them to serve as hiding places in the event of an attack. This is absolutely huge news, guys, okay? I'm telling you, something is brewing in the Baltics. Everybody's focused on Ukraine and, getting all the weapons to Ukraine, the Ukraine aid and all that stuff. I think Russia and Belarus are going to make a move on the Baltics now, because that would be totally unexpected, and it would cause a lot of panic in NATO. And then while that panic is going on, Russia could seize massive swaths of territory from Ukraine. And last night in Poland, for 5 hours, there was targeted jamming in the Bay of Gdańsk, which is one of 2 major ports in Poland. Regional authorities and a university analyzed the frequencies of this jammer. And based on their analysis, they were saying that the attack was not random and that it was a targeted attack targeting frequencies of GPS, Galileo, S-BAS, QZSS, which I guess are various types of GPS systems. So Russia is targeting Polish ships now going into one of their main ports in Gdańsk. They are jamming the GPS of Polish ships and international ships going into Poland in their main port. And yesterday I reported that multiple ships in the southern part of the Baltic Sea were having issues with navigation. Okay, so this is clearly a preparation for war with NATO, and also to mess with Poland a little bit and mess with their economy. And I want to just show you guys what we have going on over the U.S. right now. We currently have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane up in the air off the coast of California, communicating with our submerged nuclear armed submarines. And we also have a U.S. nuke sniffer plane flying over the deep south near Alabama. So that's pretty interesting. These planes are used to detect radiation in the atmosphere. They can also be used to detect the presence of nuclear powered vessels underwater, such as nuclear powered submarines. So we'll have to see where this thing goes. And last night we had over half a dozen aerial refuelers flying over the western U.S. They were doing this giant loop around the entire Rocky Mountains. I'm not sure what was going on here, but I thought I would share this with you. This was really late last night and early this morning. They all took off from Fairchild and they went all around the western U.S. and then back to Fairchild. Very interesting. And then we also had two looping over northern Arizona at the same time. And here we have a picture coming from the Russian mill blogger Rybar, and they're showing the location of some of these HIMARS strikes in the last 2 weeks in Crimea and probable launch locations from where the ATACMS were launched from. And we had some NATO reconnaissance activity in Romania. And although they were flying over Romania, this reconnaissance was geared towards Crimea, actually, because they have side scanning radars on these reconnaissance planes. And you can see they were basically looping parallel to the western shore of Crimea. Here we have a US RC 135 and then an Italian AWACS plane. Okay, and they were both looping parallel to the western shore of Crimea. So I do expect more strikes on Crimea tonight. I think we're going to see the intensity of these strikes pick up as we get closer to the Russian Victory Day, which is May the 9th. I think Ukraine is going to intensify their attacks every single night, more and more strikes and strikes on higher value targets. And then eventually it's going to culminate with strikes on the Crimean Bridge and complete destruction of the Crimean Bridge. And when that happens, I will go live. And what you're looking at here is a US RQ-4 Global Hawk that's currently up in the air over the Black Sea. So this is yet another sign that Ukraine is planning more strikes tonight on Crimea, because we have this reconnaissance drone flying back and forth, and then also the two reconnaissance planes that were airborne earlier in Romania. So definitely tonight we could see some pretty big strikes on Crimea. And we also had more NATO activity in Poland and in the Baltics this morning and last night. Here we have several aerial refuelers and cargo planes that went to Poland and the Baltics. We also have a U.S. Black Hawk that was patrolling the Gulf of Riga in the Baltics here between Estonia and Latvia. Here we have a post from the Polish military warning residents in the northern part of Poland that from May 4th to May 6th, there's going to be a massive movement of military vehicles on roadways, and they're warning residents to be alert and drive carefully so there's no accidents, okay? So they're saying in the three northern provinces of Poland, they're going to be moving massive amounts of equipment, and this is related to the NATO Steadfast Defender exercise, which is ongoing. and that's the largest exercise since the Cold War. Over 90,000 NATO forces are participating in this exercise. And I don't believe this is an exercise, guys. I believe that this is basically deployment towards the front. Okay, they're moving forces towards the front. Here we have a spectrum analysis of the Russian jammer operating in Poland, jamming Polish ships going into port. Okay, I don't know what all this means, but they were saying that what was interesting about this was that the Russian GLONASS system signal was switched off when the jamming was going on. Okay, so if you want to take a closer look into this, you can screenshot this, and it has like the different frequencies and the strengths of the signals here in decibels and the different frequencies here. Okay, and here we have some video footage coming out of Romania showing a massive amount of infantry fighting vehicles moving about in Romania. I don't know when this video was filmed, so I can't verify 100% that this is current, but regardless, this is insane, guys. Look at all these infantry fighting vehicles. You can see the guns on them. Okay. See the barrel right there. Okay. Like hundreds of these going into Romania. And I don't know when exactly this was. Okay. And we have some footage that has been released from Odessa, Ukraine, showing that Russia used cluster munitions on a civilian center last night, which is a war crime. And we're hearing that 9 people were injured and 1 person was killed as a result of a Russian bombing of Kharkiv last night with aerial bombs. And this is a new tactic being used by Russia. They've been mass producing heavy aerial bombs the last few months, probably because they're running out of missiles and running out of drones. So now they're using these glide bombs with massive warheads. And the Israeli military has finished preparations for the operation in Rafah. And the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said today that Israel will enter Rafah to eliminate Hamas with or without a ceasefire and hostage deal. Okay, so Netanyahu confirming that they will be going into Rafah regardless of any hostage deal. Okay, he's already committed to this 100%. And once he goes into Rafah, I think we're going to see total chaos in the Muslim world. We could see an increase in attacks here in the U.S. and in Europe on Christians and Jews. So you got to be on high alert, guys, especially when you're going into these big blue cities like New York City. We've seen all the chaos in New York City at the universities there with all the pro-Hamas rioters. And Israeli News 12 is reporting that the Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz warned his French counterpart that if Hezbollah does not withdraw, we are approaching an all-out war. Israel will act against Hezbollah in all of Lebanon and occupy a large area in southern Lebanon to create a security buffer zone that will be controlled by the IDF and allow the residents of the north to return to their homes safely. Wow, guys, that is crazy. Okay, so Israel is going to go into southern Lebanon after Rafah. They're going to occupy a large portion of southern Lebanon to create a buffer zone so Hezbollah cannot shell northern Israel anymore, which would allow Israelis to move back to their homes. Okay, so things are really escalating. Get prepared. And this afternoon, we have a U.S. sub Hunter plane active off the coast of Israel and Lebanon and Syria here. And also, we had several aerial refuelers go down to the Middle East from the UK this morning and last night. So something's brewing over here. And over the last several days, we've had over a dozen aerial refuelers go across the Atlantic to Europe. Here we have some video footage coming out of Columbia University last night showing these pro-Hamas rioters breaking into the Hamilton Hall building on the Columbia University campus. They barricaded themselves into this building using police barriers, and they blocked off all the entrances and exits. So it's getting crazy, guys. And I have no doubt that this is being supported by outside forces. Okay. This is not just some organic riot. These are being promoted and supported by probably Iran and some of their proxies. Okay. So absolutely insane. And then finally, here we have some video footage coming out of the South China Sea showing the Philippines Coast Guard being harassed by Chinese naval vessels. You can see the Chinese Navy firing water cannons at this Philippine Coast Guard ship. So the Philippine Coast Guard ship is in the middle, and the Chinese naval vessels are on either side, and they're firing these water cannons at this Philippine Coast Guard. We're hearing that as many as 6 Chinese maritime militia vessels and 4 Chinese Coast Guard vessels harassed and obscured Philippine Coast Guard vessels, resulting in damage. This was near the Scarborough Shoal. So it's escalating, guys, between the Philippines and China, the South China Sea area. It's escalating, and the Philippines and the U.S. are currently conducting massive exercises over there. And the U.S. recently moved medium range ballistic missiles to the Philippines. Okay. And the exercises that the Philippines are doing right now with the U.S. are the largest they've ever done together. So this is another part of the world we got to watch. This is the wild card. I've been mentioning to you guys that North Korea has been mining the last crossings of the DMZ since last fall. So North Korea is going to completely seal off any entrances to the north from the south. They're mining the final remaining roads that cross the DMZ into North Korea. Another sign of war preparations there. I will be back later on tonight with more updates for you. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. So until then, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.